Colin Gray is charged with second-degree murder for providing the gun allegedly used in the shooting spree.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
A jury finding Colin Gray, the father of a Georgia school shooting suspect, guilty of second-degree murder.
On September 4th, 2024, 14-year-old Colt Gray asked his first-period teacher at Apalachee High School how the school would respond to an active shooter. Minutes later, he carried out Georgia's deadliest school shooting, killing 4 people. His father, Colin Gray, was convicted on March 3rd, 2026, of second-degree murder, the first time a parent has been found guilty of murder for their child's school shooting.
Count 3, murder in the second degree. We, jury, find the defendant guilty.
The warning signs had been building for months before that September morning. In May 2023, FBI agents from the Atlanta field office, as well as local officers from Jackson County Sheriff's Office, visited Colt Gray and his family in Jefferson to investigate school shooting threats allegedly made by Gray on Discord. The visit was prompted by anonymous tips received by the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. When questioned, then 13-year-old Gray denied making the threats. He was told by a deputy sheriff that he was going to take Gray at your word. Gray also denied knowing what Discord was at that time. On September 4th, 2024, those warning signs converged into a deadly timeline that would expose every failure in the system designed to protect students. At 9:42 a.m., Colt Gray texted his father, Colin Gray, "I'm sorry, it's not her fault. You're not to blame for any of it." 20 minutes later, he sent another message to his mother, Marcy Gray. "I'm sorry." His mother placed a 10-minute phone call to the school around 9:50 a.m., according to the Washington Post. She asked administrators to check on her son, and authorities started searching for him. Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith told CNN affiliate WXIA. But the search went catastrophically wrong. A resource officer went to look for the boy, but there was another student in the same class with almost identically the same name.
I did confront Colin about the inconsistencies in his statement, and ultimately I placed Colin under arrest.
And neither Colt Gray nor the other student were in the classroom at the time, according to the sheriff. For more than 10 minutes, school resource officers questioned the wrong student while Gray prepared for his attack. Colt Gray left his Algebra 1 class at the beginning of class. He had concealed his weapon inside a rolled-up white poster board wrapped around his lower torso and was wearing yellow plastic gloves. When he knocked on his algebra classroom door, a student approached to let him in, but she looked through the glass panel first and saw the gun. "No, he has a gun," she told her teacher when asked to open the door. That quick decision saved an entire classroom. He then went to the classroom next door and opened fire. Gray used an AR platform-style gun.
You gave him a gun, and you never restricted his access.
And there was no evidence any other shooters were involved, according to authorities. He fired 10 to 15 rounds inside the first classroom, killing 14-year-old Christian Angelo before running into the hallway and firing at people exiting rooms and bathrooms. He brought 103 bullets with him into the school, discharging 36 during the 6-minute rampage. Emergency officials received an alert through the Senegix system, a new security system implemented in all Barrow County schools in 2024. Multiple 911 calls poured into the Barrow County E911 center reporting an active shooter situation. 2 sheriff's deputies and 2 school resource officers entered the school. When law enforcement confronted Gray, he immediately surrendered. The attack that had consumed months of planning and warning signs lasted just 6 minutes. The victims were identified as Mason Schermerhorn, 14, Christian Angelo, 14, and teachers Richard Aspinwall, 39, and Christina Irami, 53. Aspinwall and Irami were both math teachers, according to the school's website. The investigation would soon reveal that this tragedy was not just the act of a troubled teenager, but the result of Colin Gray's decision to arm his son.
He had a healthy respect for weapons. They stayed where I told them to stay,
Despite every warning sign pointing toward violence. Given that Colt Gray's mother called the school warning of an extreme emergency just minutes before the shooting began, do you think the tragedy could have been prevented if the school had found him faster? Let me know in the comments below. The investigation into how Gray obtained his weapon would soon expose an even more disturbing truth about his father's role. 3 weeks after the shooting, investigators made a discovery that would change everything. About a week before the September 2024 shooting at Apalachee High School, Colt Gray's mother, Marcy Gray, searched on Google for school shooter parents charged with manslaughter.
And for failing to heed warnings that his son was a danger to others.
She then found and read a CNN article about the Crumbly cases and what their convictions meant for parents, according to search records presented in court. She testified she and her son had watched a documentary about the Crumblies. After the Google search, Marcy Gray called her estranged husband, Colin Gray, multiple times, phone records show. She testified she asked him to put away his unsecured guns to prevent their troubled teenage son from accessing them.
As his mother, I know that there's something that he's dealing with. He's got issues. He needs help.
This wasn't just negligence. This was willful disregard for clear warnings. At the same time, Colin Gray acknowledged that he owned hunting guns, but told investigators that his son did not have unfettered access to them. But the evidence painted a different picture. Despite the FBI visit in May 2023 about school shooting threats allegedly made by his son on Discord, Colin Gray made a decision that would seal his fate. He bought Colt an AR-style rifle as a Christmas gift in December 2023, just months after federal agents had questioned his family about potential threats. The weapon that killed 4 people at Apalachee High School was a gift from a father to his son, a father who had been explicitly warned about his child's dangerous behavior.
He had custody of his 14-year-old son, Colt, and gave him the gun as a Christmas present.
Colin Gray was accused of allowing his son access to the AR-style rifle recovered after the shooting, as well as a variety of ammunition and accessories recovered at the crime scene and at Colin Gray's residence. The prosecution argued that Colin Gray had armed a child he knew was capable of violence. When Colin Gray's trial began in February 2026, prosecutors presented a devastating case. In February 2026, Colin Gray's trial began with prosecutors detailing over 1,000 crime scene photos, scans, videos, and walkthroughs of the scene. Jenny Gray, Colt's younger sister, also testified on the stand that Colin directed her to lie to law enforcement in an initial interview. She alleged that Colin was more aware of Colt's mental health issues than she had initially indicated. Colin Gray took the stand in his own defense. He was the only witness to be called by defense attorneys. He testified for more than an hour, emphasizing the difficulty of raising 3 kids on his own, and ultimately claimed he never could have seen this coming.
That heinous, like I don't know if anybody could ever see that kind of evil.
In cross-examination, prosecutors drilled Gray for 3 hours about inconsistencies in his testimony. The jury wasn't buying it. It took a jury less than 2 hours Tuesday to find Gray guilty of second-degree murder and 25 other charges, 27 total, in the novel case that prosecutors hope will help prevent similar tragedies in the future. The jury reached a unanimous verdict in just under 2 hours. On March 3, 2026, Colin Gray was found guilty of all charges brought against him. Second-degree murder in the deaths of students Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angulo, involuntary manslaughter in the killings of teachers Richard Aspinwall and Christina Irimi, 18 counts of cruelty to children, and 5 counts of reckless conduct.
Count 6, reckless conduct. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
The verdict made history. The verdict is considered a significant legal precedent for parental accountability, as it successfully utilized a state's second-degree murder statute to link a parent's underlying criminal negligence in child rearing directly to the deaths of third parties. Legal experts told CNN that Gray's conviction on Tuesday in Georgia sharpens a message made clear 2 years ago in the trials of Jennifer and James Crumbly in Michigan. Parents can be convicted of serious crimes if they allow their mentally unstable child access to a firearm that is then used to kill. And that serious crime can now include murder. Colin Gray's trial was the nation's second judicial case against the parents of an alleged school shooter. Jennifer and James Crumbly were the first parents ever convicted in a U.S. mass school shooting case. But Colin Gray's conviction went further. While the Crumbleys were convicted of involuntary manslaughter, Colin Gray became the first parent convicted of murder for their child's school shooting. The murder charges come with a sentence of 10 to 30 years in prison, meaning the 55-year-old could ultimately spend the rest of his life behind bars.
You know, he wasn't perfect, nor was I.
Gray is facing a maximum of 180 years in prison. Colin Gray's sentencing hearing is scheduled for July 28th and 29th, 2026. He faces up to 180 years in prison. The message to parents across America is clear. Any parent, for future reference, boy, they're going to have multiple locks on any types of weapons they have in that home, and they're going to be taking precautions aplenty, he said. The Colin Gray verdict establishes that ignoring warning signs and providing weapons to troubled children isn't just poor parenting, it's murder. Subscribe for more true crime cases that change the law. Watch our coverage of other landmark criminal convictions.